welcome into another episode of Southern Section this week. I'm Claudette Montana.
And I'm Connor Morissette. We're here at St. John Bosco High School, where a little later on we'll hear from three members of the boys basketball program ahead of their 3 games in the Open Division playoffs, which start Friday on the road against West Ranch. We also have some boys basketball highlights, plus a baseball segment this week. Spring sports are coming quick.
They are coming quick. A lot to get to in this show, and we're going to kick things off with our Ask the Expert segment. Here it is.
Like Claudette just said, it's time for Ask the Expert, and we have John W. Davis from the Long Beach Press-Telegram here. John, thanks so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing well, Connor. Thank you so much for having me again.
Yeah, you were so great in the fall. We asked you back now here in the winter. So boys and girls basketball playoffs are upon us in the Southern section this week. Some wild card games happened last night. First round action will begin this week as well. So, John, from your coverage area, which boys teams do you think have a chance to make a run in their respective playoff divisions?
Well, we have to start with the Open Division. I'm super excited to see what St. John Bosco can do in there. They've only lost 1 game to a team in the actual CIF-Southern section, so we'll see what they'll do. They're the number 6 seed, so they might not have gotten the seed they wanted, but that's the thing about pool play. If you win enough games, you can make it to that championship game at the Honda Center. And then if we bump down a little bit, I have a number 1 seed with St. Pius X, St. Matthias in Division 3A. We have Long Beach Jordan, who is the number 2 seed in Division 4A. And then the Linwood boys basketball team, they are the number 1 seed in Division 5AA. And all of those teams, I feel like they can make a run. They all have really good, or if not good, great guard play. And then on the girls' side, the only ranked team I have, number 2 ranking, Lakewood's girls basketball team in Division 3A, and they have a dynamic duo, and they have a chance to get it done in their division as well.
Let's stick with girls basketball for a second. Who are some player of the year candidates from your neck of the woods? And we'll go to the boys after that.
Well, if we go down the list, let's just pick a player off some of the top teams in the area. We have Joshua Ruffin from Linwood. She's their inside-out post player who's a double-double machine. You have another double-double machine at Long Beach Poly, Brooklyn Taylor, who transferred from Sarah, who obviously she had to miss the beginning part of the season for the sit-out period, but once she's been in, she's been averaging about 16 and 12. You have a great guard at St. Anthony, Ryan Bennett. You have a great guard at Paramount, Kalani Polk. So you have a lot of dynamic players, and most of them are actually underclassmen. So that's very exciting just for the future of girls basketball in the Long Beach Press-Telegram area as well.
Yeah, and then on the boys' side, I know he's only a freshman, but Jason Crow, who's averaging over 30 points per game, I'm sure he's on your list. Talk to me a little bit about him and then some of the other candidates.
Yes, I've watched him play. I watched him play the game after he scored 60 points. And in that game, he had a slow start, but he still ended up with about 35 points. So obviously, Jason Crow Jr. has to be on the list, even though he's a freshman. He's averaging 36 points per game. He's had a 51-point game. He's had a 60-point game. So the thing about him is you have to balance the level of competition he's playing against. Like, for example, they were playing in the Mid-Cities League, which is connected to the Gateway League, all a part of the Suburban Valley League, but it's the lower league. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do as they move up in league and continue to schedule and play harder and harder teams. But if you want to talk about him against a Division I opponent, Long Beach Poly, he dropped 45 points against them. So when he needs to get it done, he can get it done. But other people I'd say on the watch list, maybe like Tyrone Riley from St. Pius X, St. Matthias. He's a top 50 rated player in his class, the junior class. You have a great guard at Long Beach Poly, Giovanni Ruff. You have great players at St. John Bosco, Elsie Harrington, Jack Turner, Cade Bonham. So you have a lot of talent in this area. And honestly, I couldn't pick one right now, so I'm just going to let the playoffs do a lot of the deciding. And then, once the season's over, whether, people make it all the way to, state championship or not, then we'll just kind of let that speak for itself. But those are people in contention right now. And if I miss someone and somebody has a great postseason run, hey, they might get in that mix as well, too.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time. Smart man not crowning anyone right now, and we still have the playoffs to go. And you mentioned St. John Bosco. We're going to be heading over there later on this episode. So if you want to hear more from the Braves, stay tuned. John, let's get you out of here with this. What is one bold prediction you have from your coverage area that's going to happen over the next month?
I've never seen it in basketball, but I am going to say a bold prediction. One team from the Press Telegram area will make it all the way to Sacramento and win a state championship. Not only a sectional championship, but a state championship. And they might even do it by winning a state championship and not even winning a section championship. Because, you can technically qualify for state championships that way too. But yeah, somebody out of, St. Pius or Jordan or Linwood or Artesia even, somebody is going to go ahead and take it all the way to Sacramento, because a lot of these teams, they thought they had the talent to do it last year. And for various reasons, maybe they were too young or something like that, they just kind of, I don't want to say flamed out, but at some point they just ran out of steam in the playoffs. And so now, with knowing what it takes to get it done, somebody's going to rise to the cream of the crop.
All right, you heard it here first. Love the prediction, John. Thank you so much for joining me. And like I said, we spent some time with St. John Bosco. Let's toss it now to Coach's Corner with St. John Bosco head basketball coach Matt Dunn. So, Coach Dunn, thanks so much for being here into the Open Division once again for St. John Bosco. Got a really tough game against West Ranch coming up on Friday. We'll start you off with this. What's the key to success? How do you knock off the Wildcats?
Yeah, they're incredibly individually talented. So, we got to do a good job being able to guard our own guy. We got to do a great job rebounding the ball, and we can't turn it over. I think they're very different than the teams in our league, so there's going to be an adjustment period for us. But we're playing a great team, and that's what you want in the Open Division.
So you still have a lot to accomplish, of course, but winning the Trinity League outright for the first time in program history, what's the significance for that for you?
Yeah, it's an incredible accomplishment by our guys. I think we have the deepest league in the state of California. We had 5 teams kind of ranked in the top 25 of the state throughout most of the year, and so to be consistent enough to win that by 3 games is pretty darn impressive. For us, that's 5 long road trips into Orange County, and I think for a young group, our guys were incredibly mature, and we'll celebrate it when this year's over, but it is a great accomplishment.
And my mind just instantly goes back to that Mater Dei game. It looked like at halftime of that game here, you guys didn't have a chance, down by over 20 points. How'd you come back and win that game?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So, that team and that program with those coaches, the odds are against you. But we are really good defensively, and I thought our guys kind of did a great job of locking in, and some things went our way in the third quarter to get us back in the game. And then, we're a pretty tough team to beat here in this building. So we've won a lot of games in a row here, and our guys take a lot of pride in that, and that was one of the special ones for sure.
You've talked in the past about hoping to host an Open Division playoff game. So you got 2 on the road, but you're going to host St. Bernard. That's a nice accomplishment as well, right? Hosting a game in the Open Division playoff?
Yeah, for sure. I think obviously we all look at it with our own bias. And this is our 5th time in 6 years playing this, and we've never been higher than a 6 seed. And so you start to take it a little personally maybe. But, you got to be in the tournament. You have to beat some great teams in some tough places. And it will be exciting to get a home game. But, obviously that feels a long ways away. We got 2 pretty special road games before that.
For someone who hasn't watched a St. John Bosco game yet this season, what does your group do well?
We defend at a really high level. We're very deep. We have some really long, great athletes. And I think for me as a coach, the most important thing is they get along great. They're very close off the court. It's a fun group to be around every day. I've enjoyed coaching them, and I think we play really hard, and obviously we have some really talented guys, and that makes it fun too.
What do you hope to improve on as the year goes on? I know it's kind of crunch time now, but can always get better.
Yeah, now it's time to be good. I thought we were pretty inconsistent early, which I guess is expected with a young group, and I thought our league really prepared us to play 32 full minutes, and there's no question it's going to take that and maybe a little bit of luck to win this thing.
What do you think it is about this group that allowed you to get over the top in the Trinity League and host that Open Division playoff game? Why is this group different than some groups you've had in the past?
Yeah, they're all different. This one's probably the most individually talented. We have some true Power 5 level guys on this group, and we've had some great players, a lot of Division I players come through, but this is probably the best kind of overall group of offensive talent that we've had, and and then I'd like to think as a staff we're getting better also. So maybe we've done a little bit better job coaching these guys, but ultimately their talent is pretty special.
How do you slow down Jazz Gardner, a 7-footer who can also shoot the 3?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you can't concentrate on that. All those guys are really good. So, it's funny. Jazz actually started at Damien in my son's class. So, so I've known of Jazz, and Jelani's a graduate here of Bosco, so I've known of the family for a long time. And, he's very good, but they're all really good. So I think the key is we need to guard them with a team. We need 5 guys to guard one, and that's hard to do when all 5 of them out there on their team are really good. But and then our offense has to give ourselves a chance to defend them. We can't turn it over. They're tremendous in transition. I think if we do a good job offensively, that will really help our defense also.
Does the Open Division this year seem deeper than in years past? I feel like a lot of teams have a chance to make a run, and maybe in the past few years that hasn't necessarily been the case. As a high school basketball coach in Southern California, do you agree with that? Do you think it's still obviously going to be tough, but do you think it's deeper than it has been in past years?
I do. I'm of the belief it should be 12 teams. I think 12 teams in the Open Division, 4 pools of 3, and then you get a true semifinal and final is the right way to go. But you're right. I think as you look at all 8 teams and you think, who would I like to play? There isn't anybody that comes to mind very quickly. So they're all brutal, they're all tough, and hopefully people feel that same way about us also.
We'll get you out of here with this. A successful season the rest of the way for St. John Bosco looks like. Fill in the blank.
Well, we don't ever judge it on winning and losing. Obviously, ultimately, you want to win a tournament like this. It's a pretty special tournament, but I want to feel great about how together our guys are and how hard we compete. And if somebody plays great and beats us, we'll shake their hand. But I hope that's what it takes. I hope we handle this with great maturity and we deal with all the adversity. And if we do that, then we'll take our chances and see what happens.
That's Matt Dunn, the head coach of St. John Bosco. Coach, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
High school sports are one of the things that make living in California so great.
But sometimes the behavior in the stands can overshadow our achievements on the field.
I love it when my parents show up for me.
But being booed for missing a play could be crushing.
And remember that refs are people too.
They're trying their best to call a fair and correct game.
Hey, and enough with all the swearing.
No one should feel insulted or ashamed
because of their race, ethnicity, or gender.
We should be able to hold our heads high after the match, win or lose.
All right, we are here with our student athlete of the week, Jack Turner from St. John Bosco. You guys have a stretch of playoff games coming up. What's been the focus of this group heading into Friday?
The focus of the group's just been staying together on defense, staying locked in on scouting report, and ultimately just rebounding. Whoever wins the rebound game usually wins the game, so we're really focused on that and just running in transition and getting easy buckets.
You're playing West Branch on Friday. What's the key to beating them?
They're a great team. They've had a great year. They won a lot of games against good teams, so we're excited to go out there and play another great team. They're a good team and one-on-one team, so we got to really pack down our defense and move the ball on offense and just get great shots and stay focused and together.
You guys won the Trinity League this year. How significant was that for this group?
It was huge for, not only our group, but the community of the school. It's the first time we've run it outright, in history. So it's a big deal, big accomplishment. I'm proud to be a part of the group that did it, and we want to get another accomplishment and win a ring.
Yeah, and following up on that, what would you attribute the success this season to? Is it your coach, just the players you have on this team? What is it?
Yeah, I'd just say it's everybody, the coaches, the players, how we're unselfish, we move the ball, and we ultimately play as a group, and we get it done that way.
All right, well, as I mentioned at the top, you are Student Athlete of the Week, so I do want to talk about you a little bit. You are committed to Loyola Chicago. Congratulations on that. What excites you the most about the opportunity to get up there?
I love the university overall. I took a visit up there, an official visit. The coaches showed a lot of love. I like the plan they have for me, my development. It's a Jesuit school, it's in Chicago, a big city, so I just loved everything about it. It was exciting right when I went up there.
Are you prepared for the cold, though? Because you do realize that the weather's just a tad bit different up there.
I know. I've been in the sun for a while. I'm excited for a little bit of a change, so yeah.
Well, obviously, you're able to get an incredible education here at St. John Bosco. How have you found, or what's the key to your success in terms of balancing your athletics and your academics?
The student athlete, you always got to put academics first. You always got to find the time to get it done. If it's on the way to a workout in the back of the car, you got to do it. Just find the little time management stuff, and if you really just focus on it and knock it out quick, it's easy.
And what do you feel like is something that you've learned here at Bosco that you're going to carry into your time in college?
Just stay locked in, especially here with all the elite athletes we have here. Everyone's we're more focused on our sport, more focused on our academics than other kids, and you can really tell by how many kids, we send off to colleges, that staying locked in means a lot. So
I gotta know, what's your favorite subject? The people are really dying to know.
If I had to pick a favorite subject, I would probably say I like science. Science, yeah.
Okay, most people I ask are math guys. You're not a math guy?
Not a math guy. Not a math guy.
Okay, well, I do need to know about your shampoo routine, though, because your hair is really incredible. What are we working with here? I need some tips, obviously. You got the lock.
So the shampoos, I don't know. I switch up the shampoos, but Shea Moisture leave-in conditioner, get the curls right. Put it in there after the shower.
What is your shoe size?
14 or 15.
What's your favorite off-court activity?
Watching movies.
Favorite thing about California?
Weather.
Favorite artist?
Drake.
Worst habit?
Probably my eating habit.
Your eating habit? Why is that your worst habit?
A lot of fast food, a lot of Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah. Chick-fil-A is pretty good. Favorite sneaker?
Kobe's or GT Cuss.
Favorite player in the NBA?
Ja Morant.
Name something you can't live without.
My phone.
3-point, buzzer beater, or slam dunk for the win?
Dunk on somebody for the win.
Okay, that's pretty good. What is your dream school?
North Carolina.
USC or UCLA? You don't have to answer that, I'm kidding. Favorite app on your phone?
Snapchat.
It is playoff time in the CIF Southern section, and we have some boys basketball highlights. Crossroads hosted Loyola in the Division I playoffs earlier this week. Full highlights from that game coming up next.
In life, things aren't scripted.
If you're an athlete, we need people like you and translate those skills to officiating.
You can get a lot out of it.
It happens in every town, in every game.
We never have a perfect game, but the rewards always outweigh the negativities.
Believe it or not, baseball season in the Southern section begins on Saturday, and I have a special guest for the first time joining me here on Southern section this week. It's Bodie Da Silva, our SB Live national baseball writer. Bodie, how's it going today?
Yeah, going well. The seasons have gone so quick. It's crazy. Early February, and we're already starting.
You released your first ever Power 25 National High School Baseball rankings earlier this week, and 7 Southern section teams made the cut. That just goes to show how crazy talented the Southern section is. Let's just quickly go through each of these teams. So J. Sarah is number 2. They, of course, won the Division I championship a year ago, the first time for head coach Brett Kay. They bring back J.J. Hollis. What about this team makes you think that they have the potential to be a national title contender this year?
Yeah, they were definitely in the mix for number one. Obviously, they're at number two and went back and forth. Ultimately, I think slotting them in at two, they may even have their chance to play number one here in a few weeks down the road. But there's just so much that they bring back on the mound. Obviously, JJ Hollis was so dominant last year, our SB Live California Pitcher of the Year. But the lineup is loaded when you go through, and so many of these guys are going and committed to national schools. Trent Caraway's a great player. I know Andrew Lamb had an excellent season last year. I believe he was the Southern Section Player of the Year. But just going through, Brody Purcell's headed to USC, Ben Reimers to Stanford. Those are a couple pitchers after Hollis in that rotation that just shows, I mean, you have one really good starting pitcher at the high school level, you'll win a lot of games. But when you have 2, 3, 4 in those later games in a series, they are just loaded all over and have so much pitching, I think, especially in their case.
The other team in the top 5, a public school, Huntington Beach, they won the regional championship last year. And they bring back a great hitter in Ralphie Velasquez. What can you say about the Oilers?
Yeah, it's funny with those two teams, especially how they ended last year of Huntington Beach getting the best of them in that regional game. But very similar case that they bring back so much. You mentioned Ralphie. He's a big-time prospect headed to Arizona State. But you go through that lineup, and Aiden Espinoza was a really good player last year, headed to UCLA, stole a bunch of bases. And they have pitching as well. I think that's the other thing when you go through. And some of these guys, even though Ben Jacobs departed now and graduation, headed to UCLA, but they've got Carson Lane, Brad Grinlinger are guys that I think will step up and behind them. And it just seems like all these Southern Section schools, just every year, everyone in every class as you go through has a couple commits. So definitely loaded roster for them as well.
At number 14, Harvard Westlake this year, Bryce Rayner, who a lot of people think is the best prospect nationally, regardless of class. He's a junior. He comes back, and he's going to be pitching this year in addition to hitting. What makes the Wolverines so dangerous?
Yeah, I think kind of what you said there with him pitching, that's going to be a huge deal. Like, really excited to see what he can do because he hit 395 with some power last year. And so you add that ability onto the mound, that'll be exciting. Will Gasparino, the outfielder, they have 6'6", also headed to Texas like Bryce is. They're exciting there. And Tommy Bridges, I think that was a guy you saw last year, had a really breakout season. He's going to TCU, 8-1 with a 1.98 with the teams that they go up against. Those are really, really impressive numbers.
We've already heard one Trinity League team, Jay Serra. Santa Margarita comes in at 16. Blake Baltz comes back, the UCLA commit at catcher. The Eagles, once again, are really deep, Bodie.
Yeah, it was crazy looking through. I mean, they've got 3 guys that can play catcher at the college level that are all committed. Luke Lavin had a great year last year going to Stanford. Blake Balls as well, and Bryce Humphrey, another guy. He's headed to USF. The guy I'm excited to see is Logan DeGroot, headed to UCLA. I think he's in for a huge year. And on the mound, Sammy Kova is a really interesting guy going to Oregon that. We know how tough these battles are going to be in the Trinity League, and especially when you look back and you saw what Jay Serra started last year. Santa Margarita swept this Jay Serra team, and then to finish the way they did. So competitive, so loaded for all these Trinity League schools.
I'm running out of adjectives to describe some of these players, but at 18, it's Villa Park, and we talked about Bryce Rayner being such a high-profile recruit. Gavin Grahovic, I think, is the best hitter in California high school baseball. He's back for the Spartans, and they bring a lot of other pieces back as well.
Yeah, Gavin has been really interesting to follow, a guy who really can play all over the field. It wouldn't shock me to see him play any position this year. 17 doubles last year. And Zach Brown's an interesting guy as well. I don't think he hit as well as he would have liked last year. I'm sure that'll pick up, but also some really good numbers from him on the mound. And then with their starting pitching, Brandon Luce headed to UC Irvine, Andrew Crodel to Santa Barbara. So they've got some depth there on the mound as well. I expect they will move up. I think I may have them a little low to start.
It is crazy, all this talent. 2 more teams, 20 Orange Lutheran, and you can never count out Eric Borba's team. His son, Casey Borba, is a fantastic third baseman. He'll be back this year for the Lancers. Olu, I think they could even win the league this year in the Trinity League, even though they come in as the 3rd-ranked team. That's just how good that league is.
Yeah, this is a team that, as you said, talent all over. And alongside Casey Borba, the one I'm excited to see is Derek Curiel. I know Perfect Game at least has him as the number one junior in the country. He's committed to LSU. So you look through this lineup and you've got Vincent Hudson to Arizona, Ben Ryland to Oklahoma State, Gabe Frazier to Arkansas. It's just guys all over. And then Evan Miranda on the mound will also be headed to Texas along with Casey Borba. So just so many national recruits. It's not just are the California schools letting these guys get away. They're just really good. And there's only so many guys that can go to the same school.
And at 25, Aquinas has bolstered its roster with some transfers. Eric Batanti, who had, I think, like 40 to 50 hits a year ago, something crazy. Might have even been 60. I don't mean to sell him short, but he, I think, led the state in hits. He comes back, another really high-profile recruit. And Aquinas with these new guys looks like a great team as well.
Yeah, when you hit 526 like you did last year in the Southern section, that really says something because you never know who all this competition is going up against. But in his case, it's legitimate. 8 home runs, 17 doubles. He also had a .62 ERA when he was pitching. So he's an incredible player that I'm really excited to see. But in addition to that, they brought in some transfers. Like you said, Mason Greenhouse has come over from Riverside King. He's headed to Miami. And Owen Egan is over from Yucaipa. He's headed to UCLA. So once these guys are all blended, I think in a few weeks, month into the season, this will be a really exciting team as well. And they're going to play some high-level competition to start the season as well.
The Southern section in baseball, it is going to be a battle this year. Bodie, we'll be following your work all year long. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.